All right, shalom, shalom. Live and direct. This time we're not in Babylon the Great, but a vassal state of Babylon. Okay, in my homeland of Dominica, Caribbean. Okay, and the Lord, saw fit for me to travel here. So I can push this truth here too. We don't get days off. Wherever we go, we're still prophets. And before I get started, I want to give all praises, glories, and honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Waharakak Wadash. Okay, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. All right, and let's see if I can adjust this a little bit. Let me give you a little scenery. Today's Sunday. City's a little calmer today. Less people on the road. Less people out and about. A lot of people are in, churches. Catholicism is heavy down here. There's a lot of, Christianity sweeping the place. All right. And, Lord willing, I can just chant down some of this wickedness that's going on in this place, man. Hey, because, wherever you go in Babylon the Great, there's always wickedness. Okay. As I took, a look around on the island, man, I can see the colonizers' footprint all over the island, man. Our people, we was just eating breakfast, and a lot of the dishes they have are pork-based. Pork snout. They got this thing called black pudding, which is an animal's blood that's boiled and it's hardened in a case. And I won't lie, when I was, young, like maybe 5 or 6, I didn't know what it was. Our grandparents fed that to us. I ate it. But the Lord saw fit to have me know and learn this truth. And I've repented since then, man. And that's the point of, the ministry of the men on the highways and byways, to get, the elect of Israel, okay, to repent. Okay, Israelites consist of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, okay, in America, which is Babylon the Great in the scriptures, right? And as well as, these islands that surround her, South America, Central America, Mexico, all these surrounding areas, and throughout the four corners of the earth, you'll find Israelites scattered, looking like the heathen, talking like the heathen, sounding like the heathen, practicing what they practice. But their lineage goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and down to the 12 patriarchs, right? And right now, prophecies unfolding. Every week something new is happening, out in the world, man. Wars, rumors of wars, okay, earthquakes. You have unrest, civil unrest. That's happening. These things are happening everywhere you go, man. And you can't get away from it. You have politicians that are crooked. And the scriptures speak about wickedness in high places, man. All right, I see the rain starting to come down, so we may have to move. It's like that down here, man. Like, it's raining 1 second, then a couple minutes later it stops, and then it starts again. This is a tropical island, so you see the mountains. It's constantly back and forth between the sunshine and the rain, man. It's a beautiful place, but that's how it is. And that's just the Most High, doing his work, man. Sometimes does his work. I'm going underneath the shade right here. Just hoping to get some sun, but hey, it is what it is. Lord willing, this is edifying, man. Okay. And there's been a lot of talk about, the appearance of the Most High, man. The appearance of the Most High is likened onto a Negro man. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. Because we have these fools out here that say the Most High's son does not look like a so-called black man today, right? When clearly the scriptures describe the Father and the Son, okay, looking alike. So, go to Revelations 14, all right? And we start at 1. And this is John the Revelator on the island of Patmos, receiving the revelation of the books, the last book. The book of Revelation means to reveal. Okay, and the Hakwadash was dealing with him in the spirit, right? And I believe it's Emperor Vespasian, if I'm not mistaken, that sentenced him to the island of Patmos to work in the salt mines. Okay, and there the Lord was dealing with him, giving him the visions of the last days. Okay, Revelations 14:1 says, "And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood upon the Mount Zion." Okay, and the Mount Zion is speaking of Israel. Okay, the lamb is speaking of Yahweh Shai. Okay, that metaphorically Yahweh Shai, right? It says, "And with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads," right? And those are the elect men of Israel, man. Okay, those are the same men that were created, the first spirits created after Yahweh Shai, okay, who made the heavens, the earth, the worlds, and all powers there be. Everything you see, ocean, mountains, everything, and everything was made in the image, in the likeness of Yahweh Shai. Okay, the blueprint was given to Yahweh Shai, and the blueprint was passed down to the 144 who was created by him, okay, to bring these things to pass, man. Okay, let me get this real quick, and it's going back to that, right? When when everything is when everything is set up again, it's gonna go back to that, right? Okay, this is Revelations 21, And in 10, okay, it says, and he carried me away in the spirit, okay, to the great and high mountain. And that mountain is talking about the government of Israel, you know, that Yahweh Shai is going to set up here on this earth, okay? Because the scriptures tell you in the book of Ecclesiastes that, you know, wickedness and righteousness dwelleth here on this earth. The earth is the Lord's footstool, right? Whatever the will of the Most High is going to happen here on earth, right? As above, as below. So it says, right? It says, he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain and showed me that great city, okay, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from the Most High, okay, and that is referring to the people, because Jerusalem is a people before it's a place, right? So it's speaking about the people, and the people that it's speaking about is the elect of Israel, who's going to come down from the heavens after being, you know, we don't know the period of time that they're going to spend in the heavens, while, you know, down here is being bombarded with nuclear missiles, okay, to purge the earth and cleanse it from wickedness. All right, we don't know the amount of time, but you know that's what's going to happen. That's per the scriptures, right? It says, having the glory of the Most High, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, you know, and the Lord describes his men as precious jewels, man. Gold, silver, you know, precious stones, okay? Even you know, the ephod, you know, has a stone for each tribe, man. You know, it says, I'm gonna read 11 again. It says, and having the glory of the Most High. Okay, and that glory, it refers to the righteousness that the Most High is going to place in our minds and our hearts to follow His will and His commandments without faltering. Okay, we're gonna be just like Yahweh Shai. Get that real quick. All right. This is 1 John 3 and 2. It says, beloved, now are we sons of the Most High. See? Sons of the Most High, meaning what? We gonna look like the Most High. Okay? Not just in appearance, but in spirit. Okay, and Yahweh Shai was saying this throughout all his ministry, man. Me and the Father are one. You see, not only in appearance, but in ideology, thinking, in works. You know, because he is likened unto a father, his father. What man has a son that's not likened unto himself? You know, it says, beloved, now we are the sons of the Most High, and it doth not appear yet what we shall be. But we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. See that? So it's basically telling you we're gonna see him and we're gonna be just like him. Okay, in spirit, in truth, in works, in appearance. You know, we're gonna be made perfect. He's gonna finish the work that he started. Okay, and all the things that he started is going to be complete. He's going to complete the work, right? Get this too. Okay, 1 Corinthians 15 and 52. It says, in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, okay, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. Right? Yeah. You know, really and truly, is basically telling you we're gonna be changed. Okay, we're gonna be changed to appear just like him. Okay, and got police scoping me out right here. You know what I mean? They're right there in their little uniforms. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you can see them over there by the stand, but I noticed they walk past here looking. Pause for a second, looking. You know what I mean? So police is here too, just like the States, man. Ain't no different. Everywhere, you know, Esau has his sentries set up. You know what I mean? But I ain't worried about them. You know what I'm saying? The Lord gave me a charge, you know, to push anywhere I go with. You know, so that's what I'm doing. You know, and if so be it, you know, whatever happens, because I'm gonna subject myself to the Most High, and what, you know, his will for me is it is, man. I'll suffer it, whatever. You know, it says a moment, 1 Corinthians 15 and 52, in a moment, in a twinkle of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible. Okay. Dead in Yahweh Shai, the dead saints. Okay, gonna be raised first. Okay. They're gonna be raised first. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is 1 Thessalonians 4 and 17. I'm gonna start at I'm gonna start at 15. Okay. It says, for this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. You see? Okay, so which the remnant that remains from the tribulation, the hour of temptation. Okay, this chip being pushed. You see, they survived the chaos of insurrection, the famine. You see, the thirst. You know that that's gonna come upon the earth. Okay, the elect is gonna survive all that. Okay, I'm gonna read it again. Then we which are alive and remain, okay, the remainder, the remnant, okay, of Israel that didn't take the sea hip, okay, that didn't succumb to their own will to try and fight the will of the Most High upon this earth when sedition takes place. Okay, that's who it's talking about. Shall be caught up. It's like yeah, 15. For this we say unto you by the word of the Most High, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of our Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. Okay, sleep is a metaphor, for being, in the spirit world. Okay, bodies that have been here on earth, okay, part of the elect, okay, and has moved on, transitioned into, the spiritual realm. Their bodies are going to be filled with their spirits again, okay, and they're going to be woken up and made alive and quickened again, and have the spirit, the Ruach Kodesh, come upon them, okay, and that perfect spirit, that perfect work is going to be finished, okay. It says, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, okay, and that's Yahweh Shai, man, okay, coming with the angels, okay, to ransom, okay, the Israelites that are here on this planet, okay, his elect, okay, as well as the one third, it says, and with the trump of the Most High, and with the voice of the archangel, okay, and with the trump of the Most High, and the dead in Christ, okay, in Mashiach, the anointed, shall rise, okay. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds. Okay, we know the clouds is speaking of, these so-called UFOs, spaceships, man. Those are the vehicles of the Heavenly Father's army. Okay, these angels, right? Let me get a sip of water. Stop. And the crazy part about this island is like a lot of rivers, man. It's raining all the time. It's tropical weather, so the water here is pretty good, man. All these mountains, be raining a lot in these mountains, and there's freshwater lakes and rivers and all kind of shit. Little streams that you can get water from anywhere, man. There's always a source of water somewhere on this island, fresh water. You know what I mean? And the fish here is amazing, man. These fishermen go out, in the morning, and they catch fish, and right on the side of the road, they be selling the fish, man. Me and my dad was rolling through a village. What was it? I want to say like Wednesday, and one of the fishermen had a whole tuna big, gigantic tuna, man. It was real big. I wish I'd have thought to take pictures of it, but man, he was chopping it up, man. We got some tuna, yellowfin tuna. You know what I'm saying? Fresh, right? No, it ain't been in no refrigerator. Hey, that's how it should be, man. You know what I mean? All the food is down here is, I mean, you know, of course it's like Esau gets, you know, involved with everything. You know, when I was down here, we didn't have no TVs like that. Babylon didn't have his imprint, his influence as much. But, you know, figure, you know, 30, 40 years go by and now, you know, people got TVs in their home and they're being influenced. You know, you got KFC out here, you know, a lot of the line. If I have time, I'll go past the KFC to show y'all the line. But people don't eat the ground provisions like they used to before, you know, out the ground. You know, they don't plant stuff. You know, the new generation is, you know, kind of lackadaisical about gardening, and the soil here is really fertile, man. You can eat a mango and toss the mango. You may come back 6 months from now and it's a mango tree growing there, man. Especially in the hills, you know what I'm saying, where it's a lot of untouched terrain. You know, it is very fertile, man. So, you know, just a segue, you know what I mean? It says, read that 17 again. It says, then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds. Okay, and I just told you the clouds represent is another name, a description, you know, that the judges, the men of Yahweh Shem Shai, didn't have names like UFOs to describe, you know, what they were seeing. So the next best thing they could describe it as like a cloud. And if you watch what's that show, Dragon Ball Z, you see that the dude Goku, he rides on a cloud. You know what I mean? I believe he calls it flying nimbus or something. You know what I mean? He rides on a cloud. They ain't get that just from, you know, their imagination. You know what I mean? A lot of these things inspired from the scriptures, man. You know, the Lord inspires man from the scriptures. So everything you see, you know, that's out there, outrageous, you know, it's like the Most High inspired a lot of it, man. See, it says, then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so we shall ever be with the Lord. See, so that shows that we're gonna be with the Most High and His Son, ruling and reigning forever. You know what I mean? And that's what he's talking about, man. The scriptures in Daniel tells you that our kingdom, okay, is going to be an everlasting kingdom. See that? It don't matter where you go, man. Jake is going to be Jake, man. And it's the same thing, you know. When we in Atlanta, it's be a lot of noise pollution, man. Hella noise pollution. Motorcycles with loud pipes. You know, it ain't no different down here. I mean, standing or walking around in this place, motorcycles going past. They got shit. My cousin would tell me there's a motorcycle gang. You know what I mean? On this island. You know, it's crazy. Yeah, man. But Jake is the same everywhere, man. Let's go back to Revelations, though. Revelations 14. Okay. It says, and I looked, and lo, a lamb stood upon the Mount Zion, with him 144,000, having the Father's names written in their foreheads. Okay. And you know, only the elect is going to have that. Only the elect is going to have the Father's name written on their foreheads. Meaning, it's a metaphor for showing that the Most High is your master. You know, you think of during the chattel slavery, our slave masters used to brand us. Okay, you know, slave masters used to brand you with his mark, you know, whatever plantation you belong to. So even if you ran away, you know, you were branded. You know, it's kind of like the Most High is branding us spiritually. Okay, so we can, the angels during the time of the great gathering can know that we belong to the Most High. You know, and those that don't belong to the Most High, okay, they're gonna be branded with that seed. Okay, so the angels can know clearly who you belong to, right? It says, verse 2, and I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, okay, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps, and they song as it were a new song before the throne. Yeah, and that's, you know, that's what the Most High put on our lips to sing right now. You know, this truth is like a new song. Okay, because this song that we're singing, okay, the rest of Israel can't learn it. Okay, because they've been indoctrinated with that old song, that old wine. Okay, that you know, the colonizers and, you know, our oppressors have taught us. Okay, and the Lord gave us this new song to sing, and the rest of the world cannot learn this new song because He has not endowed them, okay, to learn this new song, man. So, you know, just like a choir, when, you know, a choir is in sync, it sounds good. But what happens is, when someone's off in that choir, the choir leader can, you know, pick up on it immediately, man. You know, and then, you know, that aroma of you good. That aroma of tripping. The accent started to come out instantly as soon as I saw, you know, the aroma from that rain is starting to kick up now. You know, it smells like good smelling dirt. You know, all of a sudden I start to smell it. It smells good. You know, it says, and I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion. No, it's like verse 3. And they sung as it were a new song before the throne. Okay, and before the four beasts and the elders, and no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. Right? And this is Revelation 21. And 10. Right? It says, and he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and shewed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from the Most High, having the glory of the Most High, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, okay, clear as crystal, okay. And the jasper stone is the stone of Benjamin, okay, which the majority of people on this island here are from the tribe of Benjamin, okay. And Benjamin is the youngest son of Jacob, okay. I believe besides Joseph, Benjamin was the most beloved son besides Joseph, right? And it says 11, having the glory of the Most High, and her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal, and had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and the names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Okay, and on the east gate 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. Okay, so that's how it's talking about the government and how it was set up, and the system that was set up by Yahweh Shai to rule over this planet. Okay, and so the 144 is going to implement the government and run the government. Okay, that's who it's talking about right there. Let's go back to Revelations. Revelations 14 and 5, it says, and in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of the Most High. Right. The elect is not going to speak no guile, man. You know, their doctrine is going to be pure. Everything they speak on, okay, is the words of the Most High. You see? They're not going to speak on out of their own heart. They're not going to speak out of their own, misunderstandings. They're going to abide by, the scriptures, okay, and edify according to the scriptures, man. And because this is not any, this is not our thing. This is the Most High's doing. Everything that we do it according to, what the Most High would like us to do, man. Just like he told Moses, hey, build, the Holy of Holies according to my calculations, and everything according exactly as I told you to do it. You know what I mean? Because anything else is not obedience. You see what happened with, King Saul. He didn't do exactly what the prophet, told him. Told him, hey, wait for me when after you finish defeating the Amalekites. Wait for me, man. And then, when I come, I'll sacrifice to the Most High. But he disobeyed. And so the kingdom was rent from him, okay, for his disobedience. And, all through the Spirit, the kingdom was never, his, his kingdom was really never his. It was always supposed to be King David's. was always meant for Yahweh Shai to come out of the loins of King David. Okay? So, that's just the Lord's will. It says, verse 4, Salaki. Verse 3, it says, and they sung as it were a new song before the throne and before the four beasts, okay, and before the elders, and no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which were not defiled with women. Okay, and the women is talking about is a metaphor for different religions, doctrines, and philosophies, man. That's what he's because this is a queendom we're in, right? And then you have many doctrines that's likened unto seductive women. Catholicism, Buddhism, Zionism, and all these different religions are very seductive up on, all the way up to Mormonism and Catholicism. They're very seductive. They sound good. They woo you with, beautiful, philosophies, but, really and truly, at the end of the day, those doctrines are like unto, whores. That you, as the Most High's woman, okay, because the 144 is likened unto the Most High's woman. Israel is likened unto a comely and delicate woman, right? You're the Most High's woman, and if you go after another religion, you're committing spiritual adultery, okay? And that's how we got to this point, from committing spiritual adultery against the Most High. So he gave us a bill of divorce, but Yahweh Shai came and, we was able to be redeemed back to the Most High, right? So, the brother's going live right now in Atlanta.